Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss the legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedoms and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, the President and General Counsel of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country in the courtrooms of America. Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedoms.
Obamacare represents two visions for America. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel and dean of Liberty University School of Law. Joining me is Matt Barber, director of cultural affairs for Liberty Counsel and associate dean for the law school. Matt, we have filed our brief at the Federal Court of Appeals, known as the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, in Richmond, Virginia. Liberty Counsel representing Liberty University and two private individuals challenging Obamacare. Later this year, I'll argue the case at the Court of Appeals. It is the first one to reach the Court of Appeals to challenge this law on the basis that it's unconstitutional. And we can talk about some of the legal implications, but I believe that Obamacare, this legislation that was passed in 2010, literally represents two different visions for the role of government and the future of America. And that this lawsuit, this bill, is beyond just Obamacare. It is about where this country is headed in two different visions and futures for America.
I couldn't agree more. We are really at a crossroads here in our nation's history, and we are left with two possible paths that we can head down. On the left side, if we head leftward, we can head down the path of Euro-socialism and socialized medicine that President Obama and those who worked so hard and moved the smoke and mirrors to get this thing rammed through down the throats of the American people. Or we can head back down a path toward the right, the path that our founding fathers envisioned, one that embraces the free market, one that embraces freedom and liberty for all individuals to make decisions about what products and services they may or may not wish to purchase.
Well, Obamacare is an extreme expansion of the federal government's role and authority in individual lives and in private businesses. And if Obamacare is upheld in the courts, then what we have is the floodgates open for the federal government to override individual liberty and certainly states' rights, and to be able to require every one of us to do certain things in our private actions that the government otherwise historically has had no authority in. The federal Constitution gives limited authority to the federal government. And when you expand that authority beyond what the federal government was designed to do, you ultimately impact freedom. The founders believe that the more local the government, the more freedom we have, because the local representatives are more responsive, or typically more responsive to the people. You have the ability to be able to vote them in or out of office a little bit easier than you do with someone who's working on a larger scale, far away, and their top-down bureaucratic laws are forcing you in your individual lives. Obamacare is the super expansion of what Obama has in mind for this country, and that is the role of government in every one of our lives.
Well, liberals like President Obama seek to recast the Constitution as a list of negative powers, and that is what President Obama has said in the past, that the Constitution is really a living, breathing document that is malleable and can be changed with the whims of the day, and if the Constitution is that, then of course the Constitution is nothing at all. The Constitution is what those in power say that the Constitution is, and that's what we see in banana republics and third world countries. That's not the vision that our founding fathers had. They put in certain checks and balances, and said that the Constitution is a list of positive powers and is a limiting document that does not limit we the people. It limits those who are controlling the reins of government. So we need to get back to the original vision that our founding fathers had of the Constitution. Those on the left, those who pushed Obamacare through, view the Constitution as a roadblock to power, not something that is to be used and operate in harmony with the exercise of power.
You know, the Obamacare really is President Obama's view of a socialist kind of government, where government just micromanages everything. You know, Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, he nationalized the oil industry, and they do this in socialistic countries thinking that, well, in order to make it available to a broader group of people, we've got to manage it ourselves from a government standpoint. And every time that that's happened over time, it fails. It implodes upon itself because government can never do what the private enterprise can do. They can't do it quickly enough, efficient enough. Government always, as a third party, takes more money to accomplish less than what individuals and private free enterprise can do. And that's exactly what Obamacare would do. It would cost more. It would decrease the quality of care. It would result in rationing, but it would accomplish their vision of having this top-down management dictating all of our individual moves or actions and our choices.
I agree with everything you just said, but I think it's a little more sinister than that. I think that Obamacare has very little to do with health care and has everything to do with power. Because those who have pushed this through have looked at the same numbers that we have. They've seen the CBO numbers that have come out and said that this is unsustainable. That's the word that keeps being floated around. If a suspension bridge you're told it's unsustainable, do you walk across a suspension bridge? Of course not. They have said Obamacare is unsustainable. What does that mean? That means that our economy literally will implode on the backs of Obamacare. So why then would they push it through? Well, because they understand that Obamacare is the foot in the door for pure Euro-socialism, to totally remake America, as President Obama has often said, in their own secular socialist self-image. And that is what's frightening to me. They know that it's unsustainable, yet they push it anyway because they know if they have control over the most intimate details of people's lives, their health, then the rest falls into place.
Yeah, if in our brief we talked about, that was filed at the Court of Appeals, if Obamacare was upheld, it would give unprecedented power to the federal government. Individual liberties would suffer, private free enterprise would be crushed. And if you can be told by the federal government to buy a particular kind of insurance or to offer a particular kind of insurance to your employees, then the federal government can tell you to buy a General Motors vehicle, because if you do, it'll stop the bleeding of GM. The more people focus on buying one particular product, well, then the demand goes up and the price goes down, so therefore more people can afford a General Motors vehicle. Well, what about the fact that hypothetically GM is not as safe as, say, an Audi? You want to buy an Audi. Too bad. You got to buy a GM if the government tells you. What if you don't want to buy a GM or a vehicle at all? You want to walk to work. Too bad. The government says you got to buy a vehicle anyway so that someone else can buy the vehicle. That's where this goes. I mean, it is unbelievable, the reach of federal government, if Obamacare is upheld in the courts.
Well, a mandate is the glue that keeps socialism together. The mandate in Obamacare is the glue that keeps Obamacare together. If you take that glue out, it all crumbles. They have to compel you to do something, or in order to spread the wealth around a little bit, as President Obama has said, they have to take the wealth from certain individuals so that they can give it to others. That's what the mandate is all about, taking wealth from other people, putting it in a big kitty, and then spreading it out over for everyone else. That is pure socialism. Obamacare is socialism. When people hear Obamacare, they should think socialism.
And the end result is that everybody suffers.
That's right, because we know it doesn't work.
It doesn't work. The end result is that you have less care. The end result, like in the Soviet Union, is you have less food in your stores for everybody. You have less opportunity to buy a couch or a refrigerator. I mean, you go to the former Soviet Union. I visited that country in 1990, the year before it collapsed. It's amazing the results when you see physically that different worldview. We have one of our attorneys, Harry Mahet, who was raised in communist Romania. He saw what communism did to that country, which is this forced top-down mechanism to socialize everything. And that's what Obamacare ultimately is at its root, is a socialist machine, and the implications are much broader than healthcare. That's why this case is so critically important.
Which begs the question, how many times does Marxism have to fail before Marxists throw in the towel and give up on it and get with the program? It seems to me that they will never quit, despite the fact that it fails every time it's tried.
Go to Liberty Counsel's website for more information on this. You can actually read the brief. Click on our press release on this lawsuit that we filed, this brief at the Court of Appeals. You can actually click on the brief and read it. and send it to your friends as well. It'll give you a lot of background regarding this particular lawsuit and this critical issue. You can also order our Patriots Handbook. It's our first publication from the New Revolution publishers. That particular publication is a branch of Liberty Counsel now, and our first publication has the United States Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, along with Patrick Henry's famous speech, "Give me liberty or give me death." More in that book. Ask for the Patriots Handbook. You can go to lc.org or call us today at 1-800-671-1776.
You have been listening to Matt Staver of Liberty Counsel. Our hope is to encourage and inspire you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedoms. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email update. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.